Okay, so the Sepulveda Pass lane reductions are on the horizon. And for anyone in South Bay logistics, this is so much more than just a traffic problem. It's a massive tactical disruption. So let's break down what this really means for the entire supply chain.
I want you to really let this sink in. The I-405 isn't just a commute. It's a new tax on your supply chain. Because that's exactly what this is. This whole disruption creates a hidden, operational cost that's going to hit every single business that relies on the South Bay's logistics network.
So here's our game plan for this briefing. First, we're going to define the core problem, what we're calling a severed artery. Then we'll get into the specific impact on the region with the South Bay squeeze. After that, we'll actually put some numbers to it by calculating the traffic tariff, and then we'll explore the opportunity this mess creates with the port-adjacent premium. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with your new strategic playbook.
All right, first up, let's get a handle on the problem itself. We're calling it a severed artery, and you're about to see why. This is all about the I-405 bottleneck.
So here are the hard facts. Caltrans is about to slice the I-405 down to just 3 lanes each way, right through the Sepulveda Pass. And look, this isn't a quick weekend fix. It's a huge, almost $144 million project that kicks off in early 2026. We're talking about something like 25 extended weekend closures. The big takeaway here? This is a predictable long-term disruption that you need to be planning for, like yesterday.
And here's why those closures are such a big deal. The 405 isn't just a freeway, it's the main commercial vein. It connects the industrial heart of the South Bay, we're talking the ports, Torrance, Carson, to the massive consumer markets on the Westside and all through the San Fernando Valley. When you choke off this artery, even just on the weekends, you're going to see some serious ripple effects through the whole system. And listen, the stakes here are incredibly high. This isn't just about getting sneakers and TVs onto store shelves. You've got El Segundo, the self-proclaimed aerospace capital of the world, sitting right in the middle of this mess. The entire high-value defense and aerospace manufacturing hub depends on this logistics network running like clockwork. So disruptions here, they can actually impact national security supply chains. It's that serious.
So that setup leads us right into our second point, the South Bay squeeze. This is where we look at the simple, brutal math of more goods trying to move on a lot less road. Now take a look at this number. Just in the first quarter, the Port of Long Beach saw a 26.6% jump in shipping containers year over year. That's not a small increase. That is a massive surge in volume. The pressure to get all of this stuff off the docks and moving is just immense. And this is the critical point. We are on a collision course. You have record-breaking import volumes flooding into the South Bay, and they're pushing right into a logistics network that's about to have its main northern artery choked off. So, what happens when all those goods can't move north? Well, they don't just disappear, they sit. Inventory is going to dwell for way longer in South Bay warehouses, and that's going to create a huge backlog.
Okay, so let's move on to our third section and start to calculate what we're calling the traffic tariff. We're going to uncover the real, hidden costs of all this gridlock.
You see, the real cost of a delay is so much more than just being late. For every single truck that's just idling in traffic, you're literally burning fuel and incredibly expensive driver hours. You're risking missed delivery windows, which puts contracts and client relationships in jeopardy. We call this mobile business interruption. It's income you lose simply because your fleet is trapped. And here's the real kicker. Your standard insurance policy, it almost never covers this kind of thing. At the end of the day, a consistent delay is functionally the exact same as a rent hike.
This brings us to the one question every logistics operator and their broker has to answer now. If this I-405 mess adds, say, 20% to your delivery times, is your current facility actually cheaper? Or would it be smarter to move to a location with a higher rent, but much better, more reliable freeway access? This forces a massive shift in thinking, away from just price per square foot and towards the total cost of operation. And that pivot is the perfect transition to Section 4, the port-adjacent premium. This is all about how you can turn this massive disruption into a real strategic opportunity.
It's pretty simple, right? As the 405 becomes a liability, those facilities with direct, immediate access to the I-710 and I-110 corridors, their value is going to skyrocket. Why? It's all about route redundancy. This gives operators a clean escape route to bypass that Westside bottleneck completely for any shipments heading east or inland.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The market data is practically screaming this at us. Just look at these Q1 industrial vacancy rates. The South Bay average is 5.3%. Carson is a little tighter at 4.2%, but El Segundo, it's at a razor-thin 0.8% vacancy. This is proof. It proves the insane demand for these premium port-adjacent spots, and it totally justifies the price they can command.
So what does this all mean for tenants? Well, their whole list of priorities is shifting right now. They're not just hunting for square footage anymore. They are prioritizing route redundancy, multiple ways in and out. They're having to factor in longer inventory hold times, which creates this huge need for overflow storage. And critically, they are putting a major premium on yard space to use as a kind of buffer zone to stage all that inventory.
Okay, so this brings us all the way to our final section, the new strategic playbook. This is how you, as an advisor, can guide your clients through this completely new landscape.
This is the value-add conversation you need to be having right now. First, start proposing a last-mile satellite warehouse, something north of the pass to just bypass the choke point entirely. Second, frame every single discussion around the total cost of operation, not just the lease rate. And third, you need to be actively targeting those port-adjacent properties that have the features that matter now, tons of yard space, and that all-important route redundancy.
And you can kickstart that whole conversation with this one line. Let's audit your delivery routes to see if your current real estate footprint is actually costing you more in logistics fees than you're saving in rent. A question like that completely reframes your role. You're no longer just a broker, you're a strategic risk manager. And that, well, that opens the door to a much deeper, more valuable relationship with your client.